what's going on, guys? Welcome to TorchTales, Stories Behind the Hood. I'm your host, Frank Vargas, aka Charlie Frankie. You guys know how these work. I sit here, somebody sits there, we have a conversation. They just happen to be in the welding industry. And this time around, I'm very excited to have my guest, not only because of the location and the venue that that put us together here, but also his journey, his short journey, compared to everyone else in the industry that's been here for, you hear those things, 40, 50, 60 years, and I'm only 15, and I think I'm already an old guy. Will Gentry with MainOxy. Will, thank you very much, brother, for being here.
Hey, thank you for having me, man. Looking forward to doing this.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things, I was telling you off camera that I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'm still doing it anyway. And for some reason, I've done probably about 100 conversations. That's awesome. I don't call them interviews, they're just conversations. Same conversations that sometimes I have at the bar. Yep. While I'm having a water. But I want to get to know a little bit more about you before we really get to know more about Maine and so on. Because I know that 10, 11, 12 years ago, you had an internship at Maine.
Yep.
And then you went and did other things.
Yeah.
And then you kind of came back and here you are.
Absolutely.
So are you born and raised in Maine?
No, so actually I was born in Reading, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
So it's about a city, about an hour northwest of Philadelphia. And long story short, my dad, coming out of college, working in the industry, working for Air Products, only industry he's ever been in. Started in 1982.
Wow.
West Coast, then ended up with BOC, travel around the country, doing different sales jobs. And then came back to the town that he grew up in, Reading. Graduated high school, we both went to the same high school. And then from there, he started his own industrial gas business. Bought a one-stop shop. They had a small fill plant. They were $500,000 a year back in the early 90s.
Gotcha.
And then from there, he just grew it over time. So that's how I ended
So
up
how did he go then from PA to Maine?
Yeah, so he started his business, grew it from about a couple $100,000 to almost $200 million.
Okay.
Did a joint venture with Praxair, now Lindy, and then ended up selling the business to them.
Gotcha.
So he was looking for other things to do. He had a friend, Dan Guerin, who was the president of MaineOxy at the time. He was running it for the Albertson family. They started in the 1920s. They've had it for 3 generations, but their 4th generation really wasn't that interested of staying in the business. So instead of selling to a major, they really wanted to focus on how do we keep the people employed and keep everything intact.
That's awesome.
So the ownership family sold to Dan Guerin. Dan brought my dad in as an investor and a partner and a board member, kind of give advice on how to grow the business over time.
So what era was this? What year was this, give or take?
So it was 2013
Gotcha.
is when my dad Brian got involved in MaineOxy.
Okay, so you were already around,
Yep.
of course, and at that moment your dad also decides, well, that's an opportunity, we're all going to move to Maine.
Yeah.
Gotcha. How old were you in that, give or take?
Yeah, I graduated high school in 2013, so I was like 18 at the time.
Got it.
And he ended up moving, when he sold his business, he moved to Florida.
Okay.
And then they'd go up and vacation and visit in Maine.
Of course, who doesn't move to Florida or Georgia at some point? When you're up in the cold, right?
There you go. Got to come down south, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So 18, what were you into in high school before 18? College kind of is around the corner. What was your idea? What were you into early on?
Yeah, I would say I was always interested in anything regarding sales or marketing. For me, one of my favorite kind of opportunities for me was when I was in school and I picked up my first ever sales book. Yeah. It was the Little Red Sales Book by Jeffrey Gitomer.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I read it on a plane ride in like 2 hours, and I was just like, this is one of the coolest, I think parts of business to be in is selling, because it's so much about relationships and getting to know individuals, and if you just look at the right way and treat it the right way, it could be an incredible career. So at that point I said I definitely want to stay in that sales and marketing roles.
It's funny you say that, because I've always, every time I'm having a talk at a school or anything to welding students or anybody else in between, I tell them all the time, like, listen, whether you work for someone, whether you work for yourself, you're always selling yourself. And that sounds kind of weird, but you are always selling your persona. People want to connect with you. People want to have a relationship with you. So if you have your own business, if you're selling a t-shirt, a torch, whatever, if they don't think you're a decent, honest, cool person, they don't want to deal with you.
Yeah.
So you're always selling something.
Absolutely.
Now, at that moment, you are not thinking anything, it hasn't crossed your mind that you are also going to work in the family business or follow that footstep, or you kind of knew that, I think that's something that I want to follow?
No, I was not really interested in getting into the business early on. I came out of college and my first job was selling copiers door to door to
I
businesses.
remember you mentioned that, yeah.
Yeah, so after.
Great job, right?
Yeah, great way to get your teeth cut in
Yeah.
sales. So, but, being 22 years old, knocking on businesses, trying to sell copiers, no one's really interested in having conversations with me.
You picked the wrong era.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm probably a few decades late.
Yeah.
But overall, it was a good experience to cut your teeth in sales and then just work different sales jobs, sales management jobs, work for huge corporations, mid-sized businesses, and startups.
And this was all in Maine?
This was all in DC, actually.
Oh, okay.
So when I graduated college at George Mason, I stayed in the Northern Virginia, DC metro area and working for different companies, and really just, I loved being in DC. I loved being outside the city.
Yeah.
Long term, didn't really want to be there.
Yeah, same thing.
When a townhouse is $1 million in Northern Virginia, it's kind of tough to get ahead.
Yeah, for the size that you're getting.
Exactly.
And how, you have a brother and sister, right?
Yes, I
who's
do.
the oldest?
So my brother's the oldest. I'm the second oldest, and then Kelly's the youngest of the group.
Gotcha. So what's the difference, you being the middle guy? How does that dynamic work?
Yeah, I would definitely say, growing up, it was just more so like me just trying to keep things light and make jokes and have a good time.
Yep.
Just trying to bring everybody together and have some fun.
Of course.
So, but, it was great. We had a great childhood.
Yep.
As our dad's business grew over time. His first year in business, he made $18,000.
Yeah.
So, I think it was really cool to be able to see the stages of how he's worked and developed, and then how all of us were able to be beneficiaries.
For sure. Who was the first one that really joined full time out of the three of you?
Yeah, I would say it was my brother. After he graduated at University of Alabama in 2017, he went to Miami to sell real estate for a year. And then after that, I think it was 2017, 2018, ended up moving back up to Maine.
Gotcha.
And has been there ever since.
Got it. And so you were the second to join, or Kelly?
I was the second to join in March of 2020. And then I think Kelly ended up joining, I think the specific time was like April of 2021, something around there.
And remind me again, what is the title of every one of your...
Yeah. So with all three of us owning the business 100%, we have been blessed enough to buy out the former owners. And so for my brother, sister, and I, we all have these partner titles similar to like a law firm that you'd have.
Gotcha.
So for me, I kind of say it's like front end of the house, chief sales officer, partner, where I oversee all the sales process, retail stores, distributor partners, those kinds of conversations. My sister is a partner, chief operating officer, and really does all of our operations, HR, a lot of the back end of the house, safety, risk maintenance, those kind of aspects.
Got it.
So she does a great job of managing all those things. My brother kind of bounces a little bit to both areas. He'll do some stuff benefiting the sales team. He'll do some stuff with the operations team, but he's really good at pulling data, pulling analytics for us to look at. And then Chris Campbell, our CFO, oversees all the finance and admin. So
that's awesome. So now you would say that how many years have you been fully invested in the company now?
Yeah, so we were able to buy the business in 2022.
Okay.
So in January, it'll be 4 years that we've all owned the business 100%.
Was that also your dad's vision? He always saw you guys as like, hey, my kids can definitely take over. And was there an actual... so we are at the GATA annual. You guys know that I kind of interrupt and I go all over the place. So chill, calm down, don't kill me. So we always talk about succession planning.
Yep.
And the next generations, or the second or the third, whatever it is. Was that planned in place with you guys, or just organically there was 2020, 2019 where, I think there's something here, or that was always the plan from the get-go?
Yeah, I think for us, it was always an option.
Okay.
But we didn't really know if we really wanted to be a part of it.
I see.
And then I think over time, it came an option and said, hey, this is something that we really want to try. Because for me, I found as I was climbing in the corporate world, people are going to say stuff about you no matter what you do.
Correct.
And whether it's a family business or it's the corporate world, I said, you know what, I have an opportunity to do a really good thing, not only for myself and my family, but for our employees and their families. And that's really the focus for me, is that how can we grow this thing, because I'm blessed with the situation that I'm in and I'm going to be taken care of. So it's how do we build something that really helps other families, other individuals come into our organization and over time grow to the point where they can be making multiple six figures and living a great lifestyle.
100%.
Yeah.
How hard was it, people looking at the three of you? Here they come, these millennials.
Yeah.
What do they know?
Yeah.
Or that was never an issue?
No, I definitely, when I was 27 at the time, when I ended up overseeing all of sales in the state of Maine, and
managing a few more experienced people, right?
Yeah, and a lot of our average sales rep at the time was a 55-year-old.
Correct.
So they're all incredible individuals. A lot of them, pretty much all of them, are still there today.
Okay.
And for us, it was really, hey, listen, we weren't really growing the business really at that point in time prior to our family coming on. It was growing slowly, but there wasn't a lot of like exponential growth. So I came in with the discipline of saying, listen, you guys are incredible at taking care of
What's already here,
the opportunities that are in front of you. Never lost a customer. These guys are fantastic at what they do. I can come in and say, listen, let's all just take a day a week and let's go out there and call on new customers, new opportunities, develop some new relationships, and make some new friends. And then over time, we were able to significantly start growing the business to where now I feel very comfortable saying we have a really solid market share in the state of Maine, have great relationships that have been lasting for generations, and will continue to do so.
That's awesome. I know you guys acquire a company in South Florida, which puts you now at how many branches overall?
Overall branches with our helium fill plants, it's 32.
32. Prior to acquiring the company in Florida, which I think it was 6, 7 branches or like, I'm not.
Yeah, eight branches in Georgia and Florida, and then they had 5 in that Buffalo market as well.
Gotcha. Prior to that, how fast or how slow was the growth? Like, you were at now 32, you guys were at 20 plus. Prior to that, were you guys stagnant for a little bit, for a few years? Or how did that went in chunks, like every so often?
Yeah, I would say from 2013 to 2020, I know the business in 2012, 2013 was roughly 32, 33 million.
Gotcha.
By the time of 2020, we were around like 50, 52 million.
Got it.
So there was some solid growth, but a lot of it was just you had other independents that were no longer around, and you just wanted to take advantage of opening locations.
So organically, you just could take over that area.
Yeah, and that's what we did. We just opened up new branches and put our name out there and said, hey, we're new independent in the market. And before Dan, they only had locations in Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. They weren't in Massachusetts or Connecticut. Now he was the one that slowly got us into those 2 states, which has been fantastic for us.
Got it.
So it's been able to continually grow over time, which is great.
I know you just got married.
Yes, sir.
Yep, congratulations again.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
Beautiful wife. How long have you guys known each other?
So we've only known each other now for about 2.5 years. We met in March of 2023.
Okay.
Got engaged in September of 24 and got married in September of 25.
And I know you're also making another life change. You're moving, or you just moved?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Moving down to St. Simon's Island, Georgia.
Yeah?
So about an hour and a half north of the Jacksonville hub for Strate here in the southeast.
Nice. Now, was that part of you moving down south? Was that just the perfect storm? Like, everything happened all together. You guys acquire a south company, you get married, now you're getting more experience, you want to wear shorts more often. Like,
For sure.
What's the hardest thing that you guys have to deal with when you guys grow from 20 or 15 or now 32 branches total? Like, what's the hardest thing about managing that quantity?
Yeah, I would say a lot of it has to deal with just the culture and making sure that people are buying in to what we're doing. And for us, making sure that we work with all of the families of Strate. There's about 80 individuals who are at the company.
Yeah.
Really making sure that saying, hey, listen, this is what we're about. This is who we are. These are some of the things we're looking to change. Here's how you can benefit from that. What's your opinion and what's your thoughts, to make sure that we can all ensure that we're on the same page. Because the last thing we want to do is come in top down, say, hey, this is everything we're going to change.
Chop, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's not who we want to be.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is just conversationally driven and making sure that we can marriage the two of what was great about them and what's great about MaineOxy, and how we can merge the two. There's a really good brewery in Maine that has a great quote that says, using the past as a catalyst for the future.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Yeah, so keeping what works and then combining with what is working in the future is going to create a great relationship for Strate and MaineOxy.
how is your busiest day? What's the stuff that just frustrates you, and you just go, like what? How does a day looks in the life of an owner?
Yeah, I'd say, it could start at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., but most of the time I'm up around, 6:30, get to the office around 7:30, 8 o'clock, and I'm there usually till 5:30 or 6 o'clock, and then head home, take a phone call for my 45-minute commute home, and then usually when I get back, it's over. But it is like a 10 to 12-hour day on a consistent basis, usually a few hours on the weekend just looking at emails, and it's a part of it.
I know. How do you decompress now? Now that after that 10, 12 hours, what do you do when you just want to completely disconnect and detach yourself from everything?
Yeah, I'd say for me, it's probably watching like TV with my now wife.
Okay.
And then she loves to watch TikTok, so we'll just kind of sit down and do that for 20, 30 minutes. But for me, it's really making sure that it actually starts before the day begins for me. It's all about getting up, like I'm buying a cold plunge, this one individual person sauna. So it's pretty cheap, but for me, it has the disciplines of waking up and knowing that I'm doing what I can to control the day before the day starts controlling me. And that's what kind of helps my mindset for when I'm home at night. It's like, okay, I wake up in the morning, first 10, 15 minutes, I'm stretching, sauna 10, 15 minutes, cold plunge 3 to 5 minutes, head to the gym, workout, and then head into the office. So if I have that scheduled, do I always follow it? No, I'm not perfect. Yeah. But if I do, I exponentially feel better about my day, knowing that, okay, these are the things I just need to execute on. I did everything that I needed to do for me. Now I can be my best self for everyone else.
Correct. What's the best and worst thing of working with your siblings?
Best thing is just how much fun it is for something that we were able to see my dad and his friends in life and my uncle, who's now working with us too.
I know, you told me that, yeah.
Build over time. Yeah. And so it's cool that you're developing these relationships with not only my brother and my sister, but with everyone else in our organization, that we're going to be friends with some of these people for the rest of our lives. So it's a really beautiful part of business.
And the worst thing?
Worst thing is probably the fact that, like Fridays, hey, if my sister and I or brother and I have a disagreement on some things that we're doing, and then we all go to dinner with our parents afterwards, and we're like, hey, how you doing? But we do a really good job of kind of leaving to work.
Gotcha.
Are we going to argue? Of course we are. It's just the reality of business. But it's because we all care. We're very passionate about what we're doing. And, Kelly and Jason are both excellent at what they do as well.
Good. How many people total now under the Maine umbrella?
Roughly 300.
300. When, you talk about culture earlier, and that's all great. It even sounds great on a piece of paper when you're first drafting this. This is kind of the guidelines or the rules that we're going to follow. But we all know that people from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different beliefs, and you name it. It's really hard to drive what you think it's the cultural line that you want to follow. How do you really make everyone kind of buy into this thing when they might not even understand what the hell you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think for what we're doing, for example, down here in Georgia and Florida, we hired an individual named Seth Stanley.
Okay.
He buys into the vision. He buys into what we're doing. So I'm big on core values, but not just throwing words on a piece of paper on the wall and saying, okay, this is what we stand for. But hey, how do you know if it's one of your core values is service? What does service specifically mean to your organization? And then what standards do you want to have that are tied into those core values so people can continue to know what they need to do day in and day out? Because people who follow people go up and down. We see that with companies all the time. But people who follow principles and standards always usually significantly grow over long periods of time. And that's what we really are all about developing and creating.
When do you know? Because especially now with today's technology, let's just say ChatGPT, you say, hey, build me the best looking resume that makes me look like a rock star.
Yep. And
then you kind of bottleneck that message and that learning. And then you interview great, and you're like, oh my God, this guy just buys in. This guy's, he said all the right things. How early or how late can you tell when, oh, that was all BS?
Yeah.
He was just great on selling that front. But a month later or two, like when can you tell and how can you tell for everyone that's trying to hire other people out there?
Yeah, I would just say, actions speak louder than words. And, the actions are going to tell you everything about what their intent is in the first 90 days. So all of our agreements, we have 90 days to figure out, hey, are you going to stay on board, or is this really not a right cultural fit?
Yeah.
And it's just making sure that you see set the baseline up front, I'd say, and make sure that they know what the expectations are. On the back end, if they're not living those expectations, people need to feel comfortable having conversations, because that's how you protect the culture. Because let's say, like in our fill plant, hypothetically, let's say we have 10 people. 5 are buying in, doing their work, but then there's 5 people who aren't. Well, let's say 5 people are only doing 60, 70%. The other 5 guys have to do 130, 140%, and they're looking saying, well, what the heck, why is this not going on?
Yep.
So if you don't deal with it in those first 90 days, you deal with it early, you're gonna end up hurting your best performers, because they're saying, okay, ownership doesn't care that I'm doing all this extra work, and they're
They get
really
bitter and they, yep.
Exactly. So it's kind of, for us, it's 90 days, quick conversations, but then again, also ensuring that you get feedback from the people that are working with them, backed with examples and data, not just rumors
Yeah,
and
just
stuff
heard.
that people
Yeah,
want to throw around. Yeah, exactly.
How much is that still involved? And in what sense?
Yeah, Brian has been really out of the day-to-day of the business for a long time, now 3-4 years. And for us, really, he just gives financial advice on the organization. If we're structuring an acquisition like a Strate or something different, what can we look at from a finance perspective to make sure that we're not jeopardizing the future of the business? Of course. So he really just looks at the numbers and kind of gives us feedback on what he's seeing. Because that's his biggest skill set, is P&L management and understanding that. So that's what we're still learning over time.
Oh, 100%. How long does a conversation like that take, when you guys were thinking about, acquiring Strate, and, it's, of course, family talks, partnership talks, with the person that actually you guys are trying to, go into a relationship with. Like, how long does that usually take? Or at least how long did this one take?
Yeah, this one happened, we had the relationship with Russell over a long period of time. And so it was more so just gradual conversation. And then it kind of just said, hey, the timing's right. If you want to do this, let's do this. And that was around the fall of last year. So from the time you agree to move forward, it's usually 90, 120 days. But it could take years and years to get to that point.
100%. What's Maine's biggest strength?
MaineOxy's biggest strength, I'd say, is our people and the ability for them, for some, like our sales force. Our average salesman has been in the industry for like 20 years.
Wow.
So for those guys that have so much experience, they can go out there and talk about everything and anything relating to welding and actually know what they're doing. And we're teaching them how to sell. They already know how to sell. They're fantastic. So for us, it was an opportunity for these guys and us to kind of help them get to those next steps and give them opportunities. Like, they were never able to sell medical, they were never really in the bulk and micro bulk, and then a great compensation program that incentivizes them and rewards them for doing so.
That's awesome. And what would you say is one weak thing that you guys still need to get better at?
Individual training, I'd say, something that we really need to improve on. We do a good amount of it, but I also think that we need to create, specific programs that are structured and designed for, people at the counter who are beginners, and then intermediates, and then here's some advanced principles around welding or different areas. So for us, it's really just, and that's what I'm focused on moving down here, is working with my siblings to create training programs to help our people continue development.
That is awesome. One of the things that I admire about you is that I saw you speak at the regional in PA, Seven Springs. I had never seen you on stage. And I was actually very surprised on the way you manage and handle the stage. Definitely, it was like, wow, I didn't know Will had that. So I was impressed, but I was even more impressed on how open you were with your company's numbers. And even earlier here, you mentioned some of the numbers. Was that something that you feel that is important for people to know, or you just don't care that, hey, we are at 50, 100, or whatever it is that you guys are, volume-wise on money, because not everyone shares that kind of information, even though that if you start searching a lot, you can kind of come up with numbers. But so you don't care, you just, hey, this is who we are?
Yeah, I would say a lot of it is just, hey, this is our journey, this is how we've been able to grow, and I like to kind of show it to give other people confidence to say, hey, if they really want to go on a run and grow aggressively, they can do it too. Most of our growth from 52 to 110, 115 million has been all organic, getting new customers, new partnerships in place. It hasn't really been through acquisition.
Gotcha.
And so for us, I just really like to show people that, hey, you can have an opportunity to really grow this thing and build it over time if you choose to do so. And here's an example of how we did it and how you can too.
That's awesome. Here we are at the annual GATA Tampa 2025. And I see you in a lot of the SMC and the annuals, of course, some of the regionals. What do you and your crew get out of this?
So I would say every year these are our favorite events, the SMCs and the annuals. For us, we go into it figuring out, okay, how can we have these events pay for itself?
Yeah.
And whether that's partnerships with a Uniweld
Yeah.
or conversations with Chart or Ratterman or whatever
Yeah.
vendors that we can work with, it's figuring out, okay, how can we better the relationships we currently have? And then what are a few other relationships that we can also develop that are going to help us, long term,
Got it.
get the benefit. And some examples have been CO2 meter, meeting Josh Pringle
Oh, yeah.
at these events and getting to know him and those guys and starting to sell those products. That has been great for our organization. So again, I think if you work it, it can be a fantastic event and you can have a lot of fun too. So it's really a good 2-for-1.
Check that box. Yeah.
So you really can have a great time, but you are also here for business at the end of the day and really want to make sure that we can bring best practices back to improve our organization.
Awesome. Personal question. I know that you like a whiskey, you like a bourbon.
Always.
Not most young people start there until they acquire that taste. In the beginning, you're young and you're like, this crap sucks. How old were you when you started liking this? Or were you always like, I like bourbon, I like whiskey?
Yeah, I've always loved bourbon. I mean,
Okay.
even in college at the
okay.
time, I could probably afford Evan Williams, but
Yeah.
now, I'm
Hey.
favorite. Nothing wrong with little Evan Williams. I love
Yeah.
it. But for me now, it's, been able to, out of college, make some money and just try different things. So
Okay.
I love just trying different stuff and different brands.
So do you know which one are your top two favorites?
I'd say for me, Widow Jane 10-year. That's
right.
one of my favorites, really solid.
Isn't that one out of New York, I think?
Yeah,
Right?
so they take these bourbon barrels and then age them in Brooklyn for 10
Yeah,
years.
I know. I'm like, that's cool. And
So-
what's the other one?
Yeah, it's a cool brand. Honestly, the next one is Maker's Mark. Classic,
hey.
reliable. I love Maker's Mark.
All right. I like, the Gap,
Yeah, always, man.
That's
you
very
get
cool.
Maker's Mark wherever you
Yeah.
go.
Have you done the trails already?
I was at one of my best friend's weddings outside of Lexington, Kentucky
Yeah.
in May. So we did some of them. We didn't get to see all of them, but it was a really, really cool experience.
Gotcha. What's the place that you've liked the most? Because, we all travel. You've been to many places. Give me one place that you just loved that you were not expecting to like it so much. And once you got there, you're like, whoa, this is cool.
I'd honestly say Tampa.
Really?
I really like this city. So I've never been to Tampa before. And after coming down here, I just feel like this is one of those most underrated cities in the country. This, along with Charleston, I feel like are two hidden gems that more people need to come visit and have a great long weekend in the city.
You know what's crazy? I've lived on South Florida my whole life, and I just moved to Orlando, and I've been all over Tampa. But because I'm always driving by and not actually staying in Tampa a lot, I've never stayed in this area where we are. And I agree with you. Once I've been here now for 3.5, 4 days, I'm like, what the hell? I've never been here. Like, this is freaking awesome. It's cool. I totally get it. And give me, I usually ask this question too, the one place that you're just not too keen on it, not because there's anything wrong with it, but it just wasn't your cup of tea.
I'd say what I've done so far, just trying to think. I'd honestly kind of say San Diego. Now, I liked San Diego, but I didn't think it was worth all of the hype that everyone made it up to be. So it was a great city. I actually enjoyed it, but it wasn't as good as everyone else was saying, in my opinion.
All right. I can buy that. How does the rest of the year looks for you?
Rest of the year is just getting Computers Unlimited.
Okay.
We operate, that's our ERP system.
I almost wore their hat. Sorry, Frank.
Yeah.
Yep.
But getting them integrated with Strate's locations in Georgia and Florida first, getting them upgraded, and eventually going over to the New York locations, getting all those done too.
Aren't you guys doing a filler plant for the Strate side of that?
Yeah, they have a fill plant up there in Buffalo, and then they have two down here, one in Georgia, one in Florida. So for us, it's just making sure that we get them integrated into our operating procedures, and that's going to, be a process to go through, but we'll get on the other side of it, and it'll be great.
Cool.
So that's really what the rest of the year is looking like for me, is making sure that we're integrating, getting to know everybody down here, and really just finalizing a plan for 2026.
That's awesome. Last question. Someone on my side of the table,
Yep.
working for a manufacturer, being a sales rep, they come to this event or any other event, or they just have an opportunity to actually talk to someone like you or anybody else like you in the industry. What would you tell someone that is starting in the business how to approach your kind of titles or your kind of companies?
Yeah. I'd say just approach with curiosity and really just trying to understand that it's about the long game. I think like day to day for me, I get, people reach out, cold calls, all that stuff. And I always want to be respectful because I'm in sales too.
Correct.
So I always want to, hey, I don't like when everyone yells at me on the phone, so I want to be respectful. But I'd say play the long game and be curious, really try and focus on their organizational experience, really what they need, what next steps are, and how you can help them with those initiatives long term. And then again, just know that it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be immediate sale, but the more you keep showing up to events like this, you can create these relationships long term where we can eventually do something together. Like I know for our two organizations, Weld and MaineOxy, we've always talked about doing something, and now we're finally close to partnering, which is, because of these events and because of coming to these Guadas.
Cool. Well, there you go. That's 15 years at it. Sometimes it becomes muscle memory.
Yep.
You're just like, hey, but you do forget that there's such a wave of new people starting, and sometimes they find themselves intimidated, and just kind of like, how do I approach? How do I do this?
Yeah.
And sometimes they come in way too hard.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, by the way, I sell this, I sell that, and you guys got to buy this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been around those, and I'm like, ouch.
Yeah.
Oof, all right, come here.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah,
for sure.
But it's all good. But I want to thank you for that same reason, because you've always been very open, very approachable, whether there was business or not. For me, that's what we are here. That's my job as well, for the company I work for. But I love someone that regardless of if there's business or not, even if we'll never be any business together because, you guys don't have it or don't have a need for that one product, you can still be respectful and be cordial and say, hey, awesome, let's have a beer, let's have a drink, let's have some fun, and it doesn't have to be so. Stay over there.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. So I love that you learned that early on, being on sales, and that you still portray yourself that way.
Yeah, thank you.
So,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, so thank you. But now I just want to say thank you also for just saying yes to TorchTales. I love having people like you, not because of, forget about the age group. It's just what you guys have been able to accomplish.
Thank you.
So that for me, it's just awesome to see and watch and how you guys carry yourself as a company.
Yeah.
So thank you for it, because that just helps me, and I know it helps the two viewers, my mom and my brother. So thank you for watching. But yeah, thanks, brother.
Hey, thank you, man. You guys do a great job with the podcast, and you've created an incredible brand for yourself. So,
thank you.
Honored to be a part of it, man. Thank you.
Awesome.
Again.
Well, guys, there you go. That's how it works. If they keep saying yes, who the hell am I to say no? So for some reason, I've been lucky enough to stay in the industry for about 15 years. Love the industry. I hope you guys get to learn something, not just about Will, but about Maine and all the exciting things they got going on and how they organically have kept growing. So thank you for watching. I'll see you somewhere else with somebody else. Take care.
See everybody.